Welcome to the Extra Mile podcast for bar exam takers. There are no traffic jams along the Extra Mile when you're studying for your bar exam. And now, your host, Jackson Mummy, owner of the Celebration Bar Review.
Well, hey everybody, welcome to episode 123 of the Extra Mile podcast for bar exam takers. This is Jackson Mummy. I'm so glad that you're spending time with us, and we're honored as always that you would take some time out of your day to join me on this podcast. We've got a wonderful interview coming up later in today's podcast with a successful Florida bar taker, Chicozy Wankwo. And he's a great guy, and it's a terrific story of his accomplishment in passing the bar, not on his first try, but really working through some significant challenges to be successful on the Florida bar exam, and I hope you'll stick around for that. What I wanted to do before we get to that interview, however, is something that is a bit unusual for me. In fact, I think it's probably in some ways unprecedented. Those of you that know anything about me may have inferred that I have fairly strong political views, although I've tried very hard over the 20 plus years that I've been teaching the bar review to keep my snide and sarcastic comments to a minimum in the lectures and in the podcasts. But the truth is that I live in the same world that all of you live in, and it's important to me and it's important to us as a business to recognize and understand where we are in the bigger scheme of things. For those of you that don't know much about my personal history, let me just share with you that in the last 10 years or so, my wife Sarah and I have spent a significant amount of our time living in some of the poorer neighborhoods in the United States, most recently in Richmond, Virginia, in a place called Church Hill, which is actually one of the poorest African-American communities in the country. Prior to that, we were in the city of New Orleans post-Katrina, literally in the city itself, helping with the rebuild. And in our experience and our time, we've come to recognize the wonderful privileges that we have as well-educated, relatively affluent white Americans. Well, my point is that over the last month or so, since the presidential election, I think it's really become very clear that the rule of law is in danger, and that things that I had presumed I would never see in my lifetime we are now confronted with. The specter of racism, the clear implication of the white nationalist movement and its influence, the possibility of an attorney general who was so racist that he couldn't be confirmed for a federal judgeship 20 years ago. Now, I recognize that in just the statements I've just made, some of you have instantly decided that I am a bleeding heart liberal, a Hillary supporter, and you're never going to have anything to do with us. And I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry if that becomes offensive to you. But I don't think I can stand by any longer and not say anything. You see, one of the driving goals behind Celebration Bar Review has always been to bring people to the bar who might not otherwise have made it into the bar. We've made a real point of reaching out into the minority communities, to women, to foreign trained attorneys, to people who are marginalized because of race or sexual orientation, and really tried to be clear that we want them to become a member of their bar. We believe that the bar is better, the community is better, when it represents and is represented by people who look like the community. The reality for us is that when the bar becomes nothing other than privileged white men over a certain age, we've lost something. And I say that as a privileged white man over a certain age. But I also recognize that it is vitally important right now that we have women in the bar, that we have members of the LGBTQ community in the bar, that we have Hispanics and African Americans in the bar, that we have Muslims in the bar, that we have foreign trained attorneys in the bar. And therefore, a major part of our work over the last few years, both in the bar review and in our personal lives, has been to empower people who might otherwise have not had that opportunity. So why am I talking about this today? Well, I think if you've been watching us at all or following along with what we do, you've probably noticed a trend. I tend to highlight the stories of people who otherwise would not have been probably very successful, but they overcame great hurdles in society and in their lives to become members of the bar. Now, that doesn't mean we don't interview straight white old men. We do. You can check out last week's episode for an example. But I also know that it's important that we be able to demonstrate that there are people who don't fit that mold, who are becoming members of the bar. And this is, I think, a major part of our purpose and our mission right now, and certainly for the foreseeable future. So I want to say to those of you who are listening today, who may have felt marginalized or set aside, or whose feeling is that because of your faith or your background or your skin color or your gender, that you are not being heard in the conversation about the law, the best way to get into the conversation is to become a member of the bar. I think it's great that you went to law school. I think it's awesome that you're in that position. And you've heard me say in other times and places that you're already a winner just by having gotten to the point where you can take the bar. But you cannot fully participate in this conversation about the law and about the importance of the rule of law, whether it's dealing with social rights or economic justice or literally business as it operates day to day, unless you're in the game. And you can't get in the game unless you pass the bar exam. That's the way the game is set up. That's the way the rules are set up. And truthfully, there are way too many people who are ripped off by the traditional approach to law school and to the bar exam. You went to a law school and you put yourself hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt for some of you, or at least $100,000 in debt. And then you took a big box bar review and they did an information dump and just gave you all the information and then left you on your own. And so you were more in debt, more confused, and you took the bar and you failed. And I know that as I'm talking, I've already described the circumstance for many of you that are listening today. And if you're in that circumstance, I want you to know that it doesn't have to be that way. For years, we have helped people climb out of that circumstance and pass the bar and become productive members of their legal community. I'm so proud of those folks, and we've got a whole bunch of them featured on our testimonials page. And if you'd like to see some of those interviews and read what people have written as well, you can go to celebrationbarreview.com/testimonials, and you will see interviews as well as comments and responses from past students. And I invite you to do that. I'd like you to see the kinds of amazing things that people are doing once they became members of the bar and the community and the legal community. Well, I guess my point in sort of getting up on my soapbox today is to tell you that I'm not going to be quiet about this. I'm not going to sit back and let the rule of law be trampled. I'm not going to let people who otherwise would be qualified to be a member of the bar be cowed into silence or to be told that they're less than or marginalized or not permitted into the bar. I am going to do, along with my staff, absolutely everything we can to help those individuals succeed. If you're in one of those groups, I certainly hope you'll consider our course. If you're not in that group, I still hope you'll consider our course because I believe, as I always have, that we're all better when we're diverse. Now, if you don't believe a diverse bar is of value, don't take my course. Please, don't do it. I don't want you there, and I don't want you in the bar. But if you believe that there's room in the bar for people of a wide range of faiths, religion, sexual orientation, age, and gender, then really, isn't it time that we work together to make something happen? Well, that's I guess, my message today. I'm really troubled by what's happened, as I know many of you are. I'm scared for the future. I'm worried about what it means for our country, for our security, for our family, for our children, and for our grandchildren. But I am assured by the fact that every week I see bright, new faces coming to me who are saying, I want to be a member of the bar, and they represent the entire spectrum of the rainbow. And so I'm really looking forward to the next year to working with many of those individuals, to helping them pass their bars in California, in Texas, in Florida, in Georgia, in New York, in the uniform bar exam, in the multi-state, wherever it might be. And I hope that you feel the same way. One of the things that we do every week is to offer a live webinar called How to Make the Next Bar Exam Your Last Bar Exam. I'm going to be traveling this week, and our next scheduled live webinar, if you're listening to this on the release date, will be on Thursday, December 15th. We'll be presenting at 3 p.m. Eastern, that's 12 noon Pacific. It's totally free of charge, and I'll be talking about the 4 steps that every passing bar taker needs to know. This is useful information for anyone, and it's totally free, and I hope you'll join me, but you do need to claim your seat. You can do that one of two ways. You can go to our website at celebrationbarreview.com. You'll see a button there to claim your seat. Just click on that and we'll get you registered. If you'd prefer to register using your phone, you can text the phrase "next bar exam" to the number 33444. Again, text the phrase "next bar exam" to 33444 and we'll get you registered. Now, if you can't wait until December 15th, or if that time and date don't work for you, we have an on-demand version of the webinar that you can self-schedule. And to do that, all you have to do, again, is go to our homepage, celebrationbarreview.com, scroll down the page just a bit, and you'll see the on-demand scheduled button. Click on that, and you can watch the material, get the full benefit, and be ready to go that way as well. Well, I recognize that what I've just said today is probably going to lose business for us. But I am confident that in the long run, the people who should be hearing this message will hear it. And I'm also kind of thankful that the people who might hear this message and say, that guy's a crackpot and I don't want anything to do with him, I really have reached that point in my life where I don't want your business. And I say that without being mean. I just recognize that I'm no longer in a position to put up with crazy. And frankly, there are some crazy people in this country today. And there are some people who, regardless of their political positions, have not acted very responsibly. And those are not the people that I want to help get into the bar. So I don't care who you voted for in that sense, but I do care what you think about the rule of law and the importance of law and the importance of being a member of the bar. And if you value those things highly, as I do, then I'd love the chance to work with you on the bar exam. And as you'll hear in our interview today with Chikosi, there are a lot of people who really desperately want to be members of the bar. And I think nothing is more exciting than to hear their stories, to find out what's going to be happening in their lives, to see the hurdles that they've overcome. And I really hope that you'll stick around and listen to our interview. It was a great one. And look forward to seeing you on our webinar soon and to seeing you on the Extra Mile. And thanks for your time and thanks for listening to me today. Let's jump into our interview now. Well, hey everybody, welcome to Hanging Out with Successful Bar Exam Students and Takers. This is episode 27, and I'm really pleased to be joined by a new successful Florida bar exam taker, Chikosi Wankwo. Chikosi, welcome, and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, this has got to be an exciting time for you, huh?
Yeah, now it's on to the bar job search now.
Okay, so ready to start looking for a job. That's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about your story and your background, how you came to be taking the Florida bar and where you went to school, that kind of stuff. Bring us up to speed.
Okay, I went to school at Florida A&M University College of Law in Orlando, Florida. It was a good experience. Graduated in 2 years, a little earlier, and then I took the bar. I didn't pass it. I used Barbary. And then I took it again, and then I was working, and I got closer, but I didn't pass. And then I needed like a cheaper service. Then I found Celebration, and it was just better for me because I felt like Barbary was like a lot of information to take in, and Celebration really simplified everything.
Good. Now, if I remember correctly, Chikosi, you were only 2 points short of passing on your second try. Is that right?
Yes, I was 2 points on the overall, and it was like, because my other friend told me she was 1 point, so I felt her pain, so now I had to feel the same pain myself. So
yeah, that's pretty awful, isn't it? You feel like you're that close, and yet it might as well be 20 points for all 200.
Yeah, so close but so far.
Yeah. So how did you emotionally kind of pick yourself back up and go back at it again to study the last time?
I realized I told myself I was rock bottom. I can't get any worse than this. So I just kept pushing. I realized I was rock bottom. I realized that you have to have faith in your God. He's your rock. So I told myself I was rock bottom, and that's all I have. So it can't get no worse than this. Even if I failed the third time, it couldn't get no worse.
Right.
That's how I felt. I'll probably just lose some money, but I'll make that back.
Yeah. I see a picture of the Pope on the wall behind you, so I know
Yes.
it's important. Okay.
Yes.
So, and I'm a firm believer that God manifests us into people's lives at the right moment very often. And so you came to Celebration Bar Review, and you and I didn't have a lot of communication. You kind of studied on your own. So why don't you tell people a little bit about what that process was like for you of studying?
Yeah, because it was a lot different for me because, like, it's my third time. So, like, I already had a bar coach with my school, and I have you. So, as far as, like, studying, like, I felt like I had a deep knowledge of the law. Like, I felt like I should have passed the first time on all the knowledge I had, but I was probably like an issue away on the essay.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're issue away, like, overall, like, you have everything you needed to pass. So when I got a Celebration, it was just really just honing in. Like, it was just made things so simpler. Like, just reading the essays for Celebration is like it felt like a human wrote it. Like, when you read the other bar companies, it feels like a computer. Like, so it felt more like you could relate to it. You could put it on paper more. That's why Celebration was better for me.
And how many hours a week would you say you were studying leading up to the July exam?
I don't know, a week, but I can go a day. A day I was doing, like, I started early. I remember you said start early is the best. So I was doing 6 hours a day, 6 solid hours, not playing around, just 6 hours consistently. And then closer to the date, I would do 8 hours. So at most I would do is 8 hours because I remember when I first started bar, they were saying do 12 hours, and I was like, looking at them crazy. Like, I can never do that. Like, it's not realistic for me to do 12 hours of studying. So when you said 6 and start early, it's just more feasible. Everybody could do that. 6 hours, start early, and then just put in the work.
Right. And so you were following the syllabus, the study guide that we'd laid out, putting together step by step.
Yeah.
What was your mindset going back up to the bar exam? You said, I kind of felt like I'd been at rock bottom. Now you've studied again for the third time. You're going back in. What does it feel like to you? Can you describe that?
Yes, you have to, like, swallow your pride and start over, like, because I had all this knowledge in me already, so I could have easily said Celebration, I'm gonna skip this, I'm gonna skip that. I was like, no, starting ground zero, and work my way back up. I'm starting like I never studied for the bar before. I'm putting all my effort into this one. Like I never studied before, even though I had all this knowledge already from Barbary, and I brought it over with me, but I just started from scratch, zero.
Yeah, and I know that in some of our communication, you were really digging in. You were working hard to get through all that material, and you were asking some really good questions about, hey, I'm not quite sure I understand this, or how does this work, or how does this fit in.
Yeah.
But the one thing that struck me, Chikosi, about what you were doing is that you were, in fact, following the instructions. You weren't trying to remake things or recreate them. You were just saying, okay, if you tell me to do that, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Was that hard to do, or was that just a decision you made?
Yeah, I don't like people telling me what to do, but sometimes you have to swallow your pride, and this is bigger than you. You have to worry about your family and friends, and like get all the support you can. And like, I just needed to know. I know this is what I wanted, so I just listened. I know you're the expert, you're the pro, so I just listened to what you said, and I got positive results.
Yeah. So what was it like waiting for results? You've been to the bar exam. Now we're in that 6-week waiting period.
Oh, waiting for results is is just as bad as like waiting, like for the bar. It's just like I don't like that period. It's too long, but like everybody keep telling you it's so long, but it's like 4,000 people take the test, so you have 4,000 people to grade. It's just like in the time they say stuff like do bar associations and network. You have to find things like that. Find a job like I was working outside of the legal field. And just you got to find time to make money and can reconnect with friends, and it's a hard process waiting for it. Yeah, it's a long process.
And so, what was it like on the day when the results came out? Can you walk us through that?
The day I was in the hospital with my dad, so we couldn't really celebrate. But it was good. Long time coming. He always had my support from day one. He always believed in me and said I could do it. He helped pay for one of my tests, so he was the first person I could share it with, and that was a special moment.
Yeah. So you got on the computer from the hospital? Is that what it was?
No, I was on my phone. I was checking my phone all day. Because I remember the day they said it was going to be at 2 p.m., but I didn't believe that. Because I know from past experience it comes out in the morning. Yeah. So I was just on it, refreshing, and it popped up that the results are in. And then I looked, I checked like 100 times because I thought the results were going to change, that I failed. But I just kept checking. I'm still checking today, like.
No,
I can't believe it.
Yeah. You passed, brother.
Yeah,
So now you're in the job search phase.
Yeah, I actually have a job. I have a short doc review project coming up. So, but you want something more stable, want something more like hands-on experience. So that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. What advice would you give to somebody who's taken the bar and come close like you did and had to go back now and restudy? What would you tell them?
You have to start all the way over. You have to commit. This last time I didn't work. I worked a little bit, probably throughout the whole period. I probably worked about 4 days. I didn't work, so I would have passed the second time if I didn't work. But I needed to work because you have to find your own. You have to base it on your own experiences. I have my family to help me, so I didn't have to work. So you have to just follow the instructions, follow the schedule, believe in yourself. You have to. That's all I believe. Even when I was taking the test, I was visualizing myself with my arm up, like I'm taking an oath. I was always believing, you have to bless yourself, believe in yourself, believe. I believed I passed before I even had the results. But even though I didn't know I passed, I wasn't confident that I passed, but I just felt like if I'm gonna be a lawyer, I have to pass this test. So. That's my mindset. It was stay positive. You have to stay positive. There's going to be a lot of dark times, but you got to stay positive.
Yeah, and I got that in our communication, leading up to the exam, that you were, in fact, very positive. And this idea of feeling what it's going to be like when you pass, that sense of pre-visualizing was huge, right? I mean, you got to see that moment,
I was taking the oath. I was taking the oath, yeah.
Pretty exciting then when it starts to really come real and you go,
yeah.
Whoa. And your family, and your family must be really excited.
Yeah, everybody's excited. They're bragging about me. It's crazy though. Everybody's happy. Like they say, I'm the first lawyer in my family, so that's a big thing, and it's just everybody's happy.
I think the reality is that these days we need more guys like you, Chikosi, to be in the bar. We need fewer guys like me. we need more young bloods like you to come in and really make this a kindler and gentler bar all around the country. I'm really proud of you for gutting it out, for not giving up. Some people get right up to that edge and they can't make it, and then they're so devastated they give up. And you didn't do that. You kept on working through. And that's a great inspiration, I think, to a lot of people. I know folks that are watching and listening today are going to go, "Oh man, okay." I get that feeling. If you were talking to, old you, and saying, here's what it's going to look like when you get on the other side, what would you have said? How would you tell old you?
I would say the air is going to be a little better. Life is going to be better. You're going to be able to have more. Probably you're going to feel more important. That's what I would say. You're gonna feel important, more important, because you have to find something that somebody told me about being successful is that you have to find what makes you feel important.
Absolutely. Well, one last question I've got. You talked about how you were taking another bar review and then you came back and decided to choose our course. How did you find out about Celebration Bar Review, and why did you decide to make a switch at that point?
Googling. I was just Googling everything, like private tutors, everything, Googling. And I was saying, the price that you pay for the big time bar reviews, you could pay that same price to Celebration, like one of those personalized courses, and it's basically like a private tutor. They're gonna do the essays, help you with the essays, and I didn't have none of that. I didn't have no help with essays because it was easy because essays in the book are good enough for me because they're so simple. It's easy to repeat or understand it better than the other bar review companies. So I thought Celebration just did a good job of just that average everyday person could go in there and understand what's going on with all these different topics.
That's great. Well, Chikosi, I want to just thank you again for sharing your story, for being willing to be open and transparent with our audience today. And, I know I speak for everybody that's watching and listening and saying congratulations. This is a terrific accomplishment. We are so delighted for you. Yeah. It's great news.
Thank you.
And look forward to seeing great things from you as a member of the Florida Bar. And so delighted that you were able to be part of our journey and that we could help you on yours. So,
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Great to have you with us today. And for all of you who've been watching or listening, thanks for being with us on this Hangout. We'll be back again soon for another episode. And again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, that's our episode for today. Thanks so much for joining me and for being part of the Extra Mile podcast for bar exam takers. Now, if you'd like to catch up on prior episodes or check out the show notes, you can do that by going to our webpage at celebrationbarreview.com. Click on the link at the top of the page for podcasts, and there you'll find all of our previous episodes as well as the show notes. You can also subscribe to the podcast from that site, or you can go to iTunes and subscribe there. Just type in the Extra Mile podcast for bar exam takers, and you can subscribe and be part of the podcast series. And we would love to have you do that. While you're on the iTunes site, we would also really appreciate you giving us a quick, honest rating and review. That feedback is really useful to me as I prepare these episodes. It only takes about 30 seconds, so I hope you'll do that. Just type in the name of the podcast and give us your rating and review. Again, if you've got any questions or you'd like to know anything else about Celebration Bar Review or the courses that we offer, visit our website, or I invite you to contact us. My email is jackson@celebrationbarreview.com, and I look forward to hearing from you and to seeing you along the extra mile very shortly. See you on the pass list. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Extra Mile podcast for bar exam takers at www.celebrationbarreview.com.